of Star Wars? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow, the only show here on the Outlaw Nation channel on John Roca's personal YouTube that breaks down the previous week in all things Schmoedown. My name is John Barr. I'm very excited to be hosting this episode once again. A little bit later, but that's because there's so much good DC fandom content coming in that Roca is covering for all of y'all to check out after, of course, this episode is done. But to help me along with this episode, first off, the illustrious man to my right, Boggs. How are you today, sir?
How kind, sir. TikTok, you don't stop. That's a calling me bad reference. Shout out to Bibbs a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to Adam Collins, who's on last week, Bibbs and Carl the week before, and Roca the week before. So, really enjoying it in the minute. But yeah, all good apart from that. So let's, happy to see you guys, of course.
That's right. We're coming off of a string of particularly strong episodes, folks, and I'm telling you, it's just going to get better and better. And of course, the only way that it's going to get better and better is with the help of our third lovely host, Soul. How are you doing today?
Doing good. I missed you boys last week while I was having fun in Vegas, so I'm glad to be on with you and discussing the matches and having our guest. I'm excited to see her.
Yes, we have a phenomenal returning guest, a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. That's going to be great. But don't forget, first off, folks, if you can support the show, we really appreciate it. There are a few different ways to do that. Joining the Patreon, of course, is number one. It's paramount. It's the way that you can join the Discord to ask some questions that Soul will read out, or also be able to come on the show and ask questions yourselves to our lovely guests. We also appreciate any Streamlabs and Super Chats if you are so able, but also just commenting along on the side as we're live, commenting underneath the video once we are no longer live, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, punching a notification. I don't know if we've said that, and that's YouTube 101. We got to be talking about punching bells, folks. That's the thing to do. Go find a bell in real life and hit it a couple times just for us, huh? Just for your friends over here at the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow. Find a real bell. That's right.
So an angel getting its wings will get a like, I guess, if you do.
Yeah. Find the bell from the climactic fight scene in Venom: Let There Be Carnage and punch it. And that's technically not a spoiler. Anyway, Soul, we've been talking a lot about these wonderful comments that folks have for us. And now it is your honor, hopefully. I don't know if you're honored. Do you feel honored by these people that have commented on our shows?
Always.
Well, then there we go. If you would be so kind, it would be our honor to hear you read out some of these incredible comments.
All right, first we have from Jeremy Miller saying, awesome show, love the Coyote, one of the best players currently. He is.
That's right, an absolute gem. Also, I almost forgot to shout out our wonderful producer, Mike Shea, is doing, I believe they're called Schmoedown After Clips, over on our show's Twitter page. You can check it out, little snippet from the show, and it's with Adam Collins kind of talking about the expectations from last season that have carried over this season for him. It's a very fun watch. Thank you so much to producer Mike. Check it out. Again, after the show is done. We got 2 hours first.
Right. And then we have from Drunken Prayer, always miss Soul, but but never going to complain about a B&B show. Thanks to Adam for hanging and staying around longer than he needed to. Won't make next week live, but sending love and support as always. The best MTS after show.
Oh, that's very
love you.
Nice. Thank you so much. B&B also. We keep trying to trip over ourselves with these like bugs, these jogs, all these portmanteaus. B&B, just beautiful simplicity.
Simple. And you also call us the most fashionable after show. I'll take that as well.
Whoa.
I'll take that.
Whoa.
I'll take that. I usually dress like a slob, but
yeah, Boggs is in a t-shirt. Me and John are in hoodies, but yes.
I'll send a photo of myself for next week's show where I'm at a wedding wearing a suit. And then we'll clinch it for sure.
Yeah. Then we have Ben Vivian saying, my spectacular match predictions. Singles, McKee versus Meyer. Teams, Shazam versus Deception. IG, Kalinowski versus Parker. Star Wars, Harper versus Gold Leader. And then a Harloff versus Kevin Smith. And a Hauser versus Jericho. And a Roca versus Mance.
Wow, that's
Wow.
a bevy of
Stacked.
predictions right
Stacked.
there. My goodness.
We'll be doing ours obviously closer to spectacular, predictions and thoughts and stuff. But yeah, good list. I'll
A
I
post
lot
it.
of
certainly
matches.
predict somebody will play it spectacular. Somebody
Yes.
must be.
And
Sounds
for
about
our last question here, and I pre-read it, Boggs, don't get too big of a head with this one. Malcolm says, great show. John was a stellar host per usual, and Adam is great. Also, Boggs is a beautiful man.
I told you it's good lighting. It's good lighting. But question, so is Malcolm a patron?
Yes, he is.
Come on down, sir. I've not met you before, right? Come on down when we get the patrons in. It'll be nice to meet you. Thank you very much for the kind words. But yeah, it'll be nice to meet you, man.
Malcolm, Boggs just asked you out on a date.
Yeah.
What I think just happened
Hey,
there.
Boggs, he's in the Netherlands, so he's not that far from you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, come on down, ask Marisol a question, ask us a question, and I'd like to thank you face to face.
My goodness.
There's not love, it's respect, right? Respect, but,
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Oh, well,
And
goodness.
that's
And what a banger to end off on as we now break into our coverage of the past 5 matches that we're going to be talking about. Obviously, our last show happened right before the pay-per-view that happened, and that is now available to everybody. That I think came out for everyone publicly on like Tuesday, I believe. So we're going to be saving that second match, of course, for our special guest. But first off, we got to talk about this Josh Horowitz versus Griffin Newman match. Obviously, Horowitz representing the Mercs, Griffin Newman representing the Finstock Exchange. Both gentlemen coming out of doing Comic-Con that day to perform. 2 people that have been touted as potential rookies of the year. It was a rough day for Josh Horowitz. We can go ahead and say that. This was a tough one for Josh. Round 1 looking pretty even. Obviously, Josh took some of the early misses with the Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that Jonathan Groff Frozen miss, and the Alice Eve filmography. But then Griffey missed both the 1997 movies, kind of like a release date, and then also the Let Him Go question. So it was only 5-6 coming out of round 1 in favor of Griffin Newman. But then we get to round 2, and this is, it always, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the second match as well. Sometimes you get opponent's choice, and you really get opponent's choice. Like sometimes your opponent is able to really hand an L to you in that very moment. And that's what happened to Josh Horowitz, spinning opponent's choice and getting Pixar. Already kind of a rough sign with the Disney miss earlier on with that Jonathan Groff Frozen question. But Josh only managing to walk away with 1 point out of a possible 8 in his round 2, with Griffey able to steal 5 points out from under him before he even started his round 2. He spun directors, stuck with it, and went perfect. And that turned out to be all that she wrote. It is 19-6 coming out of round 2 and in KO for the Finstock Exchange. So, Soul, I want to start with you since we didn't get to talk to you at all last week. I want to start with your thoughts on this match. Obviously, a toughie for Josh Horowitz, but how much do you feel like, this is indicative of Josh not being like worth the hype that we've been giving him? And how much do you think this is just an example of Griffin Newman not only being a beast when it comes to trivia, but also just having some good strategy in mind?
Well, we see players have a bad day or a bad game, and it just be one bad game that they have in the rest of the games that they play. They're awesome at it. We're going to talk about his team's match that he had, and he played much better in that than the singles match here. And we've seen it with Oyama. He spun classics against Ben Bateman, did not do very well in that, and that's one of his strengths. So I wouldn't put Horowitz down and say he's not worth the hype that we've been giving him. I would just say he got some bad luck, and luck is a part of this game. And man, it was the one time that I was like, I know the answers to these questions. Come on, Josh.
Oh no, just screaming at your screen.
Right. I think I voted for Griffey in our things, but I was just like, you always want a really good game, and you don't want someone to be blown out that much. And man, Griffin Newman's hilarious and a really good player.
Absolutely. Boggs, I'll then toss it on over to you, A, to hear your general thoughts, but then B, obviously a big part of this match has come down to the discussion of potential rookies of the year, as both of these two were looked at as really prime candidates, at least when it comes to singles. Do you feel like this loss was enough to secure Griffin Newman in like the top 5, let's say, because I think it is 5 nominees per category. And do you feel like this loss was enough to knock Horowitz out of contention?
Probably yes to both of them, kind of A and B questions. But yeah, just quickly on the match though, I want to shout out the promo. I noticed it. I did make a note of it being particularly good because it was like a welcome back promo type thing to a live event. I did enjoy that. And then just going in, I just thought Nunes was electric from start to finish. I was thoroughly entertained by him. I thought he was so funny from the walkout, to entertain the whole crowd, to how much fun he was having with the jacket. His post match afterwards, drinking the drink, squashing the can afterwards, and even Paige coming on at the end, and her and Gucci saying, "Is that the waitress?" I just thought they were electric. The whole kind of Finstock Exchange team, they just got it. They just got it, and yeah, they were so good, and he played badass as well. Obviously, Josh on the other hand, he did miss the first 3 questions. I think that was the rough. Exactly, yeah. I think that was a rough, obviously, thing. That must dwell on your mind. Even though he did get the next 5 and he was only 1 point down after the first round, clearly it played on his mind. It looked like he just walked in off the street, like I think he was at a convention, right, or something, or some kind of Comic-Con. Yeah, not as like locked in as Nunes was. It seemed like he was looking forward to it, just like from an outsider. And yeah, it just seemed it was all planned, and it was so funny, and yeah, I just saw a big difference in who wanted it more, just from a kind of a general perspective. But obviously, he's on Pixar, obviously not his strength, of course. And yeah, he had it rough, but not he didn't go multiple choice many times. So he did kind of give up points surprisingly. So I thought he's kind of a bit more experienced in that. He has shown better attributes in kind of other matches and in teams matches. So a bit more kind of strategic elements. I thought like he wouldn't do that kind of thing, but kind of the whole I want to go home thing, I just thought it was a bit rough. But overall, I think it's more Nunes kind of celebration of his kind of, imagine not having first kind of live event in 18 months, 2 years nearly, and you get that guy, and the whole Finstock Exchange team. I just thought they were so good. So credit to them. I really enjoyed kind of the Finstock's debut in a kind of live event and stuff. But yeah, Paige and Nunes, we're looking forward to that big time.
Absolutely, yeah, that's going to be an absolute barn burner. As for me, I definitely think I side more with Soul on this. It was just some real bad luck for Horowitz. I'll also say, though, I think there is perhaps a kernel of the element that Horowitz is largely known for being kind of like an interviewer, whereas Griffey is known particularly for being an actor. And I think that maybe kind of played into that mentality a little bit as well, because Griffey was coming from Comic-Con as well. Like, both of these gentlemen were at the same convention doing, albeit different tasks. But I think this is just one of those things where, just Horowitz just got handed a category that he just didn't know, and Griffey was really able to capitalize on it. I think for me, Horowitz is definitely still in the contention for Rookie of the Year, especially just kind of looking at the landscape, looking at the fact that Press Room is still in that teams tournament. They could still do some numbers. But also right now, I think I only have like 7 names right now that I'm like, oh, let's really think about these kids. And Horowitz is one of them. So we'll see more what my thoughts are come end of the year. I will say real quick before I talk about the second match of that pay-per-view, we did get an announcement at the end of it. Paul Oyama reportedly has given his title shot to Chandru Dandapani for another shot at the Inner Geekdom belt. Assuming, because of the way that Chandru phrased it and saying that, Paul's not waiting until the end of the year, it sounds like that this match of Chandru going up for the title is going to happen in between the Kalinowski-Moses match and whatever match is at Spectacular, whoever Robert Parker is playing. I don't know, gang. This is like, how back in like geometry and like high school math, you get a math problem of like solve for X, except 5 of the other numbers in the equation were also letters. Like this is I'm trying to do the math on this. And like, I just feel like with all of the different factors, I'm a little bit worried about Paul Oyama and what he's thinking for his future in the Schmoedown, because I don't really see a benefit to him giving up his title match. Boggs, I would start with you on this one. How are you feeling? Because obviously we're fans of Chandru here on the show. We're more than happy to see him get another title match because he's a great guy. But do you think that this makes sense for Oyama to give to Chandru?
So give me a swag drip drip.
Swag drip drip.
No, I'm just playing. Yeah, and I like it's super weird because you would think even Oyama as an IG guy, surely you would have the shot yourself, right? He plays IG, so but I don't know, maybe he's unavailable. Maybe it's just because Christian was saying he hasn't confirmed it as of yet. But yeah, I mean, if he's managed to hijack his title shot, more power to Chandru, because there isn't that many Inagita matches, right, for the rest of the year. So the more, if we can get an extra title shot in somewhere, I mean, sure. But if he seems like he's kind of robbed the bank here, so we'll see. Interesting set of events, but I'm glad Chandru stole the show there. A bit of unexpected thing. So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
That's right. And then Soul, obviously, of course, swag, drip, drip. But what are your thoughts on this as well? Because this is, again, another moment where Swag, a faction that has not done so hot this year, gets another shot at that spotlight with another title match. How are you feeling about it?
So happy for Chandru and very perplexed on why Oyama did it. So that's pretty much where I am. It's like, why did he do that? He's a 3-division player.
Just thinking about it, he can have a title shot in any division, right? Why would you give it to Chandru to have the same title shot? It's kind of funny, but yeah, I'm just thinking about it more.
I'm happy for Chandru because I am a Chandru fan.
Certainly, yeah. And this is why I say like I'm worried for what Paul Oyama is thinking in the future, because like the title match, like Oyama could have easily like saved it until after the singles tournament was done, because it's the only round 2. There's no guarantee he wins that and gets a shot. Teams, it sounds like Final Exam basically had their swan song in their previous match against King Arthur. But yeah, like it's not like the points are really going to save Swag at this point. Like it's no guarantee.
Want to play the current champ.
Sure. Well, there's not even a guarantee though that like he and Chandru would wind up on the same faction next year. So it's not even like, oh, I want to make sure I have a guaranteed like title holder in my fact. Like, no, I don't get it. And I'm
maybe just a hate on corruption, maybe potentially just to take a title away.
They should know better.
Potentially,
they should know better than to hate on corruption. And hey, speaking of, I don't own any corruption merch, but you know what I do own? Famously, do you know what I'm most known for owning? Philadelphia themed merchandise. I wanted to put the sweatshirt on that represented Philly this time first, because I obviously last time we talked about Champion Marisol McKee's match, I of course famously took off a sweatshirt to reveal a piece of Philadelphia merch, and I just felt like it'd be really corny and it'd be really hackney if I did the exact same bit.
Sure.
If I just ripped off my sweatshirt to reveal a piece of Philadelphia merchandise, like wouldn't that be like really corny and crazy?
Yes.
And yet, get off me!
No, I bet he's been looking forward to this all week.
Get off! Whoa! Folks, the Eagles might not be winning this year, but we have a guaranteed, absolute, undisputed winner on this show today, folks. The reigning and defending singles champion of the movie trivia Schmoedown, the member of the currently winning faction of Corruption and last year's faction winners as well. Everybody, get up out of your chairs in your homes. Make noises so loud that your neighbors start freaking out for Lady Justice Marisol McKee. Hello, how are you doing today, Marisol? Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. That was nothing can top that. That's my favorite intro ever. ever. It was already my favorite after you just took off the sweatshirt, and then it only got better from there.
Oh, well, listen,
you missed the crop top from last time.
That's true. And I'm in much worse shape than 2 weeks ago, so I was like, I can't bring that shirt back. But how are you? I mean, it's crazy because we haven't gotten to talk to you, I think, since maybe your match against Kevin Smith, and you've been up to a little bit since then. So like, how has it just been to like be able to like bounce into these 2 different huge title matches in these live environments?
It's everything I wanted to do when I first joined. It's always been the goal when I first joined the league anyway, and it felt so it was cathartic, I'll say that, to finally reach a point that had always been a goal of mine. This is always the level that I wanted to work towards and achieve, and to achieve it already in my second season is astronomical.
Absolutely. It cannot be understated how hard you worked for this, but then B, how incredible it is to see this be able to happen. As somebody now that has had 2 different title matches, both successful, of course, I do also want to ask, like, having come out of them and having a little bit of distance between both of them, which would you say was your favorite to compete in? Because obviously both had like very different like circumstances going in. One was you trying to win the belt off of Ethan Irwin, who is very established. And then the second one was you trying to defend your belt against your faction mate, Chance Ellison. So, like, which one do you feel like you look back on with the most, like, enjoyment? Like, that match was the most fun to, like, play and be a part of?
It's really hard to choose between the two. Both are special for very different reasons. But I think even right now, I know that I know that my first one was historic, and I love that about it. But in the one where I felt even more comfortable and I felt like I was really truly coming into my own and enjoying myself was the New York event. And that's the one I find myself, I think, replaying moments that I was personally enjoying in my head more. Cause I feel like at the cantina, I was like, oh, I hope I win this. Like, you know, like I was so excited for it, but it was a big question mark for me, whether I believed in myself that I could, but, you know, there was a big what if I actually could do it. Wanting and accomplishing are 2 very different things. And I think after I got over that hump, my mentality going into this match was I felt much more confident in myself, and I was able to enjoy and embrace, especially because it was going to be a live event. That was the most exciting opportunity that I've had so far in the Schmoedown, and I was even more excited for this one. I was feeling a gazillion pounds of pressure in the Cantina match, and I was like, I really hope I don't muck this up. And by the time I'm in New York, you believe in yourself, but like I said, being on the other end of an accomplishment, you're like, okay, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can do this. And that gave me it made it a lot easier for me to just kind of relax and just enjoy the event. Because I felt like I had a little bit less to prove at this point. And I was just still playing for things beyond myself, but I felt like I was coming into my own a lot more and ready to just keep going. I was like, this is what everybody does on this show. This is what it's about. This is where it is, where you don't have to just, you know, clench up and just freak out about winning a match every time in digital, or else you don't get another match. I felt comfortable being able to just enjoy it to the fullest. And I think New York is my favorite of everything so far.
It's a beautiful city, to be sure. Boggs, I want to toss it on over to you. Do you have any questions for our wonderful reigning undisputed champion guest?
Absolutely, of course. First of all, I got to shout out Adam Collins coming on the show last week before, obviously, the live event coming on. I just thought that was such a nice thing to do.
In the chat right now as well.
Absolutely. Just a question, obviously, going into that match, it was a bit of tense online, conflict with Chance. Obviously, the match played out how it did. Is that all sorted now? You know, is it being squashed a little bit, or is it still kind of a bit of tension in the air? So, Chance is my boy. So watch yourself.
Boggs is like, don't you hurt him.
The great thing about this is that and going into this is I knew that I knew that Chance wasn't going to go easy on me at all. At all. I didn't want him to. I knew he wasn't, and he knew damn well that I wasn't going to do the same to him. And there's always going to be a rivalry. There's always going to be rivalries in House Corruption. We all love each other. We all bring each other up and help each other be the best, and we all secretly want to take each other out. We got a chance this season before we thought we would to do it. We had multiple chances going into this with the singles titles run at this point of the season. And one of those matches ended up happening. So the rivalry never dies. I thought Chance was hungry before. I know he's gonna tear my head off next time we play each other. And I'm gonna be ready for him too. If knock on wood, if that happens again, I would love to do it. But like I said, the rivalry still stands. So we, just the same way that you can give your sibling like a wet willy, but then be like, all right, well, I guess we should kiss and make up. I'll say that's the dynamic that we've got going on.
Nice. I can't wait for the deception against corruption and Shannon in the middle. I just see the images now. So yeah, that's gonna be fun.
All right. Well, Soul, I want to toss it on over to you as well if you have any questions, but also to break down this match.
Okie dokie. I thought Boggs was breaking it down, but I'll do it.
Is he? Wait, what do I have in my notes? No, I have you.
Oh,
what's going on?
Okay.
Are you? Oh, yes, but yeah, we know what we're doing. We know what
we're
doing.
Very professional here. Very, very professional. But you have this belt, this beautiful belt that you've defended.
Can we see the belt?
I am not at my apartment. I am at my parents' right now. That
was another thing I was going to ask you. Sorry, Marisol. You mentioned your family last time. Obviously quite close to your sister and your mom. Were they there at the event? Because my geography is a bit off, but is Philadelphia close to New York, right?
Oh yeah, it's about 90 minutes, 90-minute drive with no traffic. Okay. You can get there about an hour and 40 minutes. It's very close to New York. My family is my mother, my sister. Everybody's in Philadelphia. We were juggling whether just pretty much with the state of everything, COVID and everything, it was for the best for my parents' safety, and my sister has small children and everything. They ultimately decided to stay in Philly, which I respect and support, of course, 100% that decision. But they were watching; they just watched the live stream, but they were really excited. Still got a bunch of texts after everything happened. Nice. So my family's
I'm sure
best.
You could probably hear them all the way from Philly.
Hell yeah.
But looking at all these people going towards the finals for singles with this tournament, who would you like to face off the most?
Jesus, anybody, and I'll be happy. Honestly, the singles tournament is so toit. Dan Murrell obviously is a high pick just because of how much respect I have for Dan and how much I would love, the same way how I felt going against Ethan. It's just when you're playing against a player who is not only elite, one of the absolute best who's ever played, and then you were on top of it, you respect them so much, and they have so much integrity for the game. That's so exciting as when you're a really serious competitor. That is the most exciting kind of opponent to play. And Dan, I would love to play Dan Murrell. Absolutely. It's just kind of become a rite of passage, to play Dan Murrell for a title match. If it doesn't feel legit, even though I've now defended, it's just yeah, but have you played Dan Murrell in a title match yet though? How can you really say you're legit until you do that? I would love that. I would love to play Griffin Newman. He is obviously on a tear. I will have be fortunate enough to play him pretty soon in teams first. And I won't complain at all about one-on-one. I thought he was tremendous in New York. He's had a tremendous season so far already. And I love going against a competitor with that kind of level of knowledge and who is just that fantastic and with that much showmanship. I would love to play him. I would love to play Paige Fabretti. Paige, I would do anything to pretty much have, especially a player who builds a lot of momentum, and Paige has built a lot of momentum. That's an excellent matchup. I would love to play her at Spectacular. I would love a rematch. Speaking of Oyama, I would love a rematch against a little bit of revenge against Oyama at Spectacular. I'm not going to say no to that. put that on my list. I could go over anybody. Brendan Meyer, again, one of the most elite singles competitor, one of the most elite competitors that we have in the game. Nothing would make me more excited than going toe to toe with a player that caliber. I would pretty much play anybody less in this tournament for all reasons. Those are some of my really, really big top picks that I would really, really love to play. But I'm not going to be mad that it's so quality right now. Everybody who's in this tournament, it would be a dream to talk about another corruption on corruption match to play Kalinowski in the singles final at Spectacular. That would be pretty magnificent as well. But those are some of my top picks.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're all going to feel like fools when it winds up being Marisol versus James White, of course. But hey, another corruption invitational, it would seem.
Right, she's taking out all the corruption from the inside.
This is my plan all along.
But did Kate Mulligan really train you? Or?
Right. The agent for the den, yeah.
Buzz, do you feel all right breaking down this?
Yeah,
match?
of course. We are going to run through it a bit with you, Marisol, because obviously we haven't got you for too long, and we've got Patreon questions, and maybe a couple of patrons come in, so it'll be as quick as I can. In the first round, you kind of both just missed that the second question, where you both guessed Billy Bob Thornton. I believe the answer was John, is it Rudder?
It was a hell of a question. It's one of those. I will say about this is one of those that like we have been really working, especially in corruption. We've been working to be like, don't overthink the question. If it sounds too easy, it is. Like obviously that's not a 100% guarantee, but especially when you've got 15 seconds, don't talk yourself out of things. Don't get cute. 9 times out of 10, it probably is your first instinct. Like you think like, oh, don't overthink it. That's Billy Bob Thornton. But championship level match. That was the curveball for round one, and it did exactly what it was meant to do, and it got us both. So I can't be mad at that. I love those kind of questions, even when I get them wrong. I love those kind of questions. And if you're like a real movie lover, a movie fan, you love using your knowledge to get to the answers and things. Those kind of questions are a dream, even if you get them wrong.
Yeah, there was a good one in the I think Dan Murrell and Lon match with like a Star Wars MCU and Hunger Games actor, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously Woody Harrelson. Yeah, I love them kind of questions. You're right. But it was obviously level 7 each going into the second round, and you did stick on Meryl Streep. So you got the chant going. Now the crowd's on your side. You stick with it. Like I'm like from there, I'm kind of thinking, oh, okay, it's kind of a game, right? Like you did go perfectly in that round. You go multiple choice on the last one, the Chris Cooper Little Women question. Any particular reason you went multiple choice there, or was it just because big cast, or what was there? It was.
I've seen Little Women. I'm not as big on it as a lot of people are. I've seen Little Women. It's fine. It's just that I saw it when it came out, and I hadn't revisited it since. And it was one of those things where I was like, they're trying to make you say Bob Odenkirk, and I'm like, Bob Odenkirk is father. He's the father of the Little Women. And I was like, they're not trying to get me to say Bob Odenkirk. And I just couldn't picture it at that moment. I just needed to hear the multiple choice. And I heard the multiple choice. And I'm like, that's right. It's Chris Cooper. I just needed the jog. I didn't have it in the 15 seconds to pull it out of thin air. It happens even with categories you love. And, it's a thing where you're trying to learn everything, that sometimes the things that already are there, it happens sometimes. Those things kind of get pushed from the forefront of your mind, and you need reminders. And the Chris Cooper question, I just needed to hear the options, and it clicked right again for me. Would have loved to have gone 8 on 8. I put Streep on the wheel. I wasn't gonna. This is our first live event back. I wasn't not gonna pass up an opportunity to hear the Meryl Streep chant. And the crowd did not disappoint. It was beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, getting 7 in the first 2 rounds, it's not bad. And then going into Chance's round, he's spun off Paul Newman, landed on spoof movies. For his standards as well, a little bit of a rough round. He only got 3 points, obviously. Missed 2 multiple choices, which you stole, of course. I did find it a little interesting, like spoof movies, not too fashionable nowadays. Chance's age. There was like 2 themed questions as well, music themed questions. I did find that a little bit interesting, but you stole them. But yeah, thoughts on that category or on them questions?
Yeah, spoof is definitely one of the curveball categories this year, and I think it is, like, just like you said, it is one of those where, like, spoof is a genre that's really died after the mid 2000s. Like, scary movies were the last hurrah that maybe like my generation like watched, you know, and certainly if you're a younger generation, like you're just like, what, like you have like a couple Friedberg and Seltzer movies, God help you, and then that's it. But yeah, it's totally was in its prime in the 80s, absolutely in the 80s and the early 90s, you know, when Loaded Weapon and all that stuff was coming out, the Naked Guns. So yeah, those questions, I will say, like, about those spoof questions, where there's surface level questions where, as a lot of people kind of serve as preparing for rounds, you can kind of catch up on and still kind of like keep yourself afloat so you don't sink. And then there are some questions that are just right below, that are not the obvious things, like, you know, it really helps if you grew up watching them. Really helps. Those would be natural things if you grew up watching. Like for instance, like, I love when I come across things like the Club Dread question that I stole. I love when I come across questions that, like, I know that because that's a moment from my life where I remember that movie. You know, there's plenty of things, I'll be honest, there's plenty of things in Schmoedown that have happened since I've started my Schmoedown career, that I was like, that first and foremost, there's some things that I've gotten because I've applied myself and supplemented and studied things. And then there are so many more that have just come from a lifetime of just watching movies. And I was smiling to myself on the stage, especially when that Coconut Pete question got asked, because all that happened at that moment was I was remembering when I was 14 and I watched Club Dread, and I was like, God, this movie sucks. And it's not a good movie. But, you know, it was like 2 a.m. I was 14 and I watched that movie and I was like, how did they get Bill Paxton in here? And he's so silly in it. And, you know, whatever, like 16 years later, I'm on stage in New York and I get a question about it. And I'm like, that's right, Club Dread. And because of the experiences of your life, like, I knew that question instantly the second I heard it. And that's the stuff that reminds me of why I love it so much. Why watching movies all the time is important, and just as important as studying in order to get victories or get to the next level in this game. And that was a fun moment on stage that reminded me why I love it.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of fate. Like, it's written, like, oh, these real life tie-ins are coming back now in a title match. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And then obviously round 3, you bet 2 points, he bets 3. You both get it right. The draw's 2 questions, so he caught up a little bit. And that, well, end of round 3 was 18-13. So he still had a big 5-point lead. Then that super interesting round 4 happened. So you get a 2. Obviously, you did get a -1. Chance also got 2. So the end of that round finishing 19-15. How did that? Now you play 2 kind of speed rounds back to back against 2 really good speed rounds, maybe the 2 best in the game, and you've kind of held your own in that kind of 4th round. So how do you think that kind of went?
I'm kicking. I think the cherry on top would have been if I like straight up. I'm proud of my speed rounds. I still am. I'm kicking myself for that. That right there, you were watching a stroke happen on stage when Mark was like, when like I buzzed in on the "It's a Wonderful Life" and Mark was like Marisol, and I was like it was that was an actual stroke. Like I had been moving so fast. I had just buzzed in on 2, and I was really excited that I had just buzzed in 2 correctly. And I have no ego about this. I got ahead of myself. And I got so excited when I heard release dates, and I just buzzed, and I realized I wasn't listening to what they were actually asking me. And by the time I started to catch up, I just shut down, because I was like, oh my God, I don't have this, like I don't know what they're asking for. And yeah, as you can see, it was bad. If I had just cooled down, because I really wanted to get that 3rd point, the speed round, if I had just slowed down for just a fraction of a second and took a beat and listened to "It's a Wonderful Life," I absolutely know that movie is 1946. I know I would have gotten it. It's a goofy moment. It happens. Fortunately, it didn't cost me the match. But it was a stumble. I'm human. It happens. It was a stumble. But I learned from it. Like, you know, like I learned from everything. My success and my little moments of failure. I learned from everything, and I will not be making that kind of mistake in the future in my speed rounds.
Yeah, it was interesting because you've been really strong with James Stewart in the past. And I thought, oh, what's happening here?
It wasn't a lack of knowledge. I assure you that
Yeah.
it wasn't a lack of knowledge. It was mechanical, whatever you want to call it.
And I thought Chance's the first question as well, the Mark Hamill one, it was like a bit of a kind of standoff and like just he's kind of waited it out and pulled it last minute. That was a really good one. And then going into
question.
Yeah, exactly. And going into the final round, okay, so Chance hit his 2 and his 3. You've hit your 2, obviously the ice cube, so he has avoided the TKO. Didn't get the 5-point question in Black Cinema, the above the rim question, and of course you win and defend your title. Crowd chanting Lady Justice. Overall kind of thoughts on if you have any thoughts on the 5th round, or the crowd chanting your name, and obviously emotions at the end with Shannon and Adam there and Chance there as well. What was the overall feelings on stage?
I was ready to go. I was ready to answer my 5. I mean, I was sure Chance was going 10 for 10. I know he's as dangerous as he's ever been. And he was so prepared. I thought he was going to hit his 5. Mm-hmm. I did. I did, like I told you guys, I did feel more. I will say this at the same time, I did feel the most confident at this point, only because I had shaken off the what ifs and can I do this? Like, I believe in myself, but let's see how this goes. I had shaken that off, and I was really confident at the end there, and I was ready to have to go all the way and answer my 5, but I was also like, I got this at the same time, and that's really an insane feeling. I'm fortunate enough that people are rooting for me. If I try to become more of a villain, we'll see how that goes. If people are booing me on the stage,
start swinging your sword. Yeah.
If I start poking at
take
people.
hostages.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that'll make me have like a couple more strokes on stage. We'll see. But for right now, it is really exciting, and it is what I want to be doing. Like Jen asked me during the post match, I think Jen even mentioned like Mount Rushmore, and I'm not even prepared for those kind of discussions and conversations. I am excited for my success so far in the game, but in order to, part of even something in these conversations about when you think about Mount Rushmore players, it's not. Accomplishments is obviously a part of it, but it's sustainability and longevity and overall impact. And I am thrilled. I am excited for my success so far, but it is just the beginning of a journey in order for me to earn my place among the people who have the longevity and the track record and have been sustaining their level of excellence for years throughout the league. Like those are the things that I have to aspire to, that I am aspiring to, that I still have to work towards. And I will keep working towards to really earn that spot against amongst the people who have rightfully earned it. So that's kind of my headspace at it. I'm really excited, but now the real work begins, and now I got to keep. I have to maintain in order to make good on this and have this not be like, remember when she had like a really good couple months? Yeah, what happened to her? Like in order for that to not happen, I'm gonna keep working and be worthy of that point down the road, to really look back and be proud of a worthy career, and not just a worthy moment.
Yeah, I think you passed that stage of what if, what happened to that girl? But I want to shout out Justin Square in the chat there. Marisol's quiet confidence is one of the things I love about her. Justin Square saying Marisol's quiet confidence is one of the things I love about her. Yeah, I do like that quality that you've got.
You,
and yeah, not answering a 5 in 2 title matches. I mean, it's pretty good. Also, my last question before I throw it to you, John. Did you know Chance's 5-point question?
Here's a really interesting answer to that. I've seen Above the Rim, and I like it actually. It was not amazing, but I had no expectations going into it, and I actually like it. And I remember Marlon Wayans in it. Very early role for him, and I like it. I have to be fair about it, though. I could just say the easy answer and just say, yeah, I knew it. When I was standing there on stage, it wasn't my question. And I knew that if he missed it, I would win. So I was like 50% of the time, I was just like, God, please miss it. Please miss it. I wasn't trying to answer the question. I above the rim didn't come to me right away, and then I thought about it for another like 20 seconds, and I would have arrived there with time. I don't know how fast I would have. I think I would have arrived at it faster if it was my question and I was trying to answer it from the beginning. I'm just gonna be fair. I'm not gonna dunk and be like, yeah, that was easy. Like I knew it. Like it was a 5-pointer. That was a 5-point question. And if you hadn't seen the movie, that question gets even harder. Like hard. That's a pull. If that were my question and I was locked in and ready to answer my question, my chances are pretty good that I would have gotten it, but we'll now never know because it wasn't my question, and that wasn't the moment there trying to answer it. So I just have to be honest.
Okay, great. Shout out to Bibbs in the chat there. But John, any overall thoughts on the match? Questions and question for Marisol, please.
Not too many overall thoughts on the match. I feel like we talked about a lot of the things I had questions about as well during the discussion. I think one of the things that stood out to me, Marisol, you talking about how some of these questions just kind of come to you from those like childhood memories. And for me, that was something that very much just happened with Chance's 3-pointer with the Black Cauldron. Because, God, I remember watching that movie a lot as a kid and then getting into the adult world. And I was like, what do you mean nobody talks about this movie? What do you mean it's a Disney forgotten? What are you talking about? Why did I watch it so many times? Henwen the Pig, my goodness. But yeah, I mean, it was an absolutely stellar match. I think Chance, for me, it's not a question of like if Chance gets another singles title match. It's just a question of will the Schmoedown end before he gets a shot? Because like that's the only thing that I could see him not getting a second shot. Because like the dude is incredibly hungry, and like that's his kind of number one goal. So I'm sure we'll be seeing him competing for it again sooner rather than later. But like as far as the discussion of like, whether or not, I mean, Marisol, you beat Ethan Irwin. Like that to me is like one of my absolute like Mount Rushmore dudes. And that's somebody that has been having, I would say, the second best year of his whole career with like what he's doing in singles and teams. And he played a hell of a game against you and you still beat him. Like, that was the thing for me where I was just like, oh, Marisol absolutely needs to be in that conversation of the greats, And I would love to see you contend against a Bibiani, a Dan Murrell, a Brendan Meyer as well. Like, we shouted him out earlier. He's been having also an incredible year, and he's also very good on the speed round, like you were saying, Boggs, earlier. So any of those could be great, but, like, man, oh, man, this was just a great – this is one of those matches where I was like – I was a little bit bummed at first that I wasn't still East Coast based because I was like, I wanted to be there. But then I was like, oh, I'm West Coast based and I got spectacular tickets. So I still got plenty to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, I did. Bibbs would be another. I would love. I had so much fun playing Bibbs in Street earlier this year. I would love another excellent choice. I would love to play him at Spectacular. That would be so fun. It would. I just like. This is what I want. This is what this season 8 has been everything I've wanted in terms of just what I want from this game is just playing quality competitors all the time and showing what you've got. I've been able to play Janine. I've been able to play Ethan Irwin, Chance, Video Drew. I've been able to play so many quality competitors playing their best games. And that's the level that I want to be at in this game. And if it results in me winning some belts like that, that is even better. But I will be pleased as punch playing just quality competitors like I have been fortunate enough to play throughout this year, throughout the rest of my career. Cause that's where I'm happiest. That's what the sport is all about. And it brings out the best in everybody. It brings out the best in me and my competitors. And that's what this is all about. I know everybody's working really hard. I've been torn. I've been working through a lot of feelings over this, trying to go through. I know, like you're saying, how hard Chance has been working, and I was really torn over a lot of that. It was very bittersweet, like my victory, because he's my brother. We've been working together over the last few years on this faction. And I want nothing more than for his success, except for my success, but it really hurts when you know that you're directly in the way. It's one thing to support, your faction mates and everything when they lose to somebody else. But when when you know that you directly contributed to halting, their path. That's a lot to process. And it does complicate and add a level of bittersweetness to feeling proud of yourself and your personal success. But it's also why we keep scrapping and we keep going through it. And Chance is such a champion, truly a champion. He's multiple times teams champion and a champion at heart that I enjoy just getting back there in the sessions and laughing and spending time with him. He's the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, I look at your like kind of run to the title, and like you were saying, yeah, like so many quality competitors. Obviously not like always the like, oh, the biggest name, like it's not like, oh, you had to play Bateman and you had to like, but no, you were playing like people who have been like steadily grinding, people who have always been like incredible in this game, like Video Drew, who is still one of my personal favorites in the game. Janine the Machine, I think she's got to be like number one at this point for like best competitors who haven't won a belt yet. Like I've just loved your path, and that's part of why like I hype you up as much as I do, because I'm like, no, it's like sincerely and truly like you had such a great path paved with like really great competitors, and it is always tough to see like those great competitors where it's like, oh, I also love them and I want them to win. But like it's so great that there are so many people who are like not only talented at like movie trivia, but are also just like genuinely nice, good people that you like get to see get these shots. Like that's the best part for me, is like there's so many people that I just love that get to do movie trivia at each other in live. What is that? What are we doing? It's great. I love it. Soul, I want to toss it on over to you if you have any questions, but also you are, of course, the keeper of the Discord Patreon questions. So if there are any of those that you have pulled up and ready to go, we'd love to hear them as well.
Well, my question for you, I'm an avid sports fan, and one of my favorite things watching sports is the emotions after the game when people win. And even just also the emotions when you lose because you're trying so hard. You and Chance, that hug there, like you could feel it through the screen. I'm sure people there in the audience could feel the absolute love between the two of you. And so I just wanted to say that was my favorite moment of the match. And it wasn't during the gameplay, but it was just the pure love. And you could see how much Corruption loves each other.
We do have each other's back. We want to like I said, I everything that I've expressed about the bittersweet nature of all of this, like, like we won't have it any other way. Like we will, if we're playing each other, we're going to try to tear each other's heads off, but we will never stop caring and supporting and trying to lift each other up and having each other's back. But when the bell dings, it's time to play.
Mm-hmm. And you definitely saw that with Chance too, when he was pointed like, no, she didn't have the time right with the movie.
He was like, take that point. You saw it. He was like, take that point.
That was I love Chance. That was like some extreme like fourth grade teacher's pet energy a little bit on that.
He's like, hey, what's going on?
Teacher, Mr. Ellis.
No, we got it. Messy moment.
Going to our Patreon questions, first from our wonderful producer, Mike Shea. He wants to know, Cheese Whiz or provolone?
Would you believe I'm provolone? I love
it.
Provolone. I love provolone on my cheesesteaks. I love it. I also really, really mess with chicken cheesesteaks a lot. So provolone just naturally tastes amazing with chicken cheesesteaks. So provolone for sure. For sure.
You got the thumbs up from Mike Shea.
I will send, by the way, if you come out for Spectacular, I will send you the address of the super good cheesesteak place that's out here. There's one called Booze, and it is like Philly quality. We'll get into that later.
Okay. I'm here for it.
Now we have Jeremy Miller. He wants to know what you think is the best and worst Meryl Streep movie. Best
Meryl Streep ever movie, I think, is The Deer Hunter. Let me think. Let me make sure. Let me double check my work there for a second. Oh, screw it. It's my gut answer. Yeah, This is my gut answer because it's what came to my mind first. The Deer Hunter. I think that movie is excellent. It is one of the best war movies I have ever seen, and it's one of my favorite because of how much it emphasizes. The first half of the movie is just before they even go to Nam, and it really hits home how much the serenity and the peacefulness of our everyday lives is destroyed by war. You know, we see a lot of war movies where they just jump right into war, and you spend maybe 5 minutes getting to know these people before they go to war. You just mainly just show the literal horrors of war. The horrors of war are amplified when you realize when you spend so much time seeing what literal war disrupted, and how it destroys people when they come back from it. Early Meryl Streep role, she is devastatingly good in it, and I think that's my favorite. I would have to say that's my favorite. That's the most impactful, and the one that I think is genuinely the best.
Honestly, I think that might have been somebody reading out Bibiani's comments here. I did not like that pick.
Well, Bibbs and I still have more work to do in the Streep division, so we could battle this out. We could battle this out in the future. Yes, Bibbs, I said the Deer Hunter. Worst, oof, that's easier to pick. Oh God. Worst. Geez. Actually, maybe this isn't as easy as I thought it is. Worst? God. I don't know.
We have some votes for She-Devil in the chat, which I have not seen. Do we know
for
how
best?
She-Devil is? I don't know. I would have.
So I've only seen parts. I haven't seen She-Devil from start to finish. I know that Bibbs is a fan of She-Devil. He wore She-Devil's shirt in our match. I believe that he is a champion of She-Devil. I wouldn't be surprised. Death Becomes Hers. I mean, I have personal favorites, but like the best. Okay, all right. I would pick Death Becomes Her over She-Devil, probably just on principle. It's hard to top. Death Becomes Her. Worst maybe Marvin's Room. That is pretty maudlin. That movie is, I don't know. Which is weird because it has such a loaded cast. It has DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Diane Keaton in it. Yes, it does. But Marvin's Room is pretty overwrought, and doesn't quite land. I think it's pretty clunky in its melodrama. But again, the performances are fine. I don't know. There's really not a bad Meryl Streep movie. At least one that I've seen so far. I can't say there's a lot of bad ones.
Hey, that's why
I was thinking maybe like the first Mamma Mia would be more.
I mean,
but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, you know what? My pick is The Prom. The Prom.
Good call.
The Prom. Wait, that just hit me like a train. The Prom. Man, that movie sucks.
Yeah,
that just hit me like a train. I was very disappointed by that movie. I'm a fan of Meryl in musicals. She owns it. She owns her voice, her singing voice. She owns it. She goes for it. The Prom is a misfire, though. Pretty dubious characters in the lead. Not enough of the young, amazing couple. The girls who are actually trying to go to prom together and express their love. Not enough of them in the movie. But yeah, Prom sticks out to me.
That's a very good pick. And certainly before we kickstart any more She-Devil discourse, SDD as I like to call it, Soul, are there any other?
Sorry, you got me going down the rabbit hole talking about Meryl Streep. You got me with that one.
And I will say to Krista Todd of the chat, she goes, she enjoys ABBA music, so she enjoyed Mamma Mia. That's why I like the second one more. I think the second Mamma Mia movie is better than the first one.
Hot
takes. Going into more Discord questions from Drunken Prayer. He wants to know, what's your favorite type of crisp? Chips for Americans.
Oh, I was like, Pringles?
That's fair. No, that's fair, yeah.
No, because they call it, potato crisps.
Yeah. Bugs can translate for us.
Yeah, no, Pringles, yeah, that counts.
That's fair. I've always loved buffalo, thick cut buffalo ridged ruffles. Like buffalo sauce ruffles are like God. I could mess up a whole bag of those. Those are unbelievable. I don't partake in chips that much, but when I do, like if I get like a craving and I'm in like Wawa, I find thick cut ridges, ruffles, hot buffalo sauce chips. Those are unbelievable.
Wawa's always there when you need it.
Also Zappo's voodoo chips. If you guys have ever had those, oh my God. Zappo's makes a whole brand of really delicious Cajun spice line of Cajun spice chips. They have a whole group of them. You could Google the different flavors. But their voodoo chips are amazing. Like smoky, spicy, but won't scare you off, not too spicy, but definitely have a little bit of heat and just all the kind of Cajun spices up in there. Amazing.
Sounds delicious.
They are.
Yeah.
Sprinkle them over a cheesesteak. Oh my God.
Ooh,
Our last question here from Chris Taylor. He wants to know, in one word, describe your MTS career so far. This is difficult, I know. I don't know. I guess I would say, oh God, I don't have an interesting word for it. I would say, snowball, like, I don't know how to describe that. Is there an adjective for snowball? Snowball-y? Snowball-y. Avalanche-y?
Yeah.
I don't know. Avalanche-y. Yeah, I feel like I was finding my rhythm, riding down that hill, and I'm building. The ball's bigger. It's building and it's rolling, and I'm getting more confident, and I'm where I want to be, and I want to keep rolling like a big old snowball. So that's my career.
Hell yeah. There you go. Real quick, we do have, I think, 2 patrons here in the private chat. Don't forget, gang, keep it to one question and keep it brief, because we are very lucky to have the champion here, but also they have other things to do with their day. So make sure you keep your questions concise and to one. I want to make that clear. As we bring on our first patron, who I believe is Ryko. I believe is going to be number 1 off the bat.
Hello. That felt like it was directed towards me.
No,
I'm just saying.
No.
I do.
I'll tell you very specifically. That is purely producers. Let me know. We got time. We have to do a show. You understand?
Fine. Then I won't mention the fact that you Americans totally missed the mark, and it's ketchup chips that are the best.
Sort of feels like you mentioned it, right?
No,
Go ahead and get us that question.
All right, Marisol. So congratulations, champ. I love the fact that you're champ. Since you're champ, I'm going to give you a champ prerogative. Do you want a Schmoedown question or a non-Schmoedown question? Since I only get one, and I have to keep it brief.
Give me a Schmoedown question.
Okay. So, so you're becoming the first female champ is important to a lot of people. How important was it to you? And did a lot of people reach out and express how much that feels to them? Because it did seem that it did feel important to a lot of people.
Totally. I felt that. I understand that, and that the importance is never lost on me. The most important thing for me to do, and I think is important for all women to do, is never forget what you're representing, but also make sure that you're just playing to represent just represent yourself. You don't need to speak for all women. Like your performance is not a definitive statement about all women, but understand that it's so important. Understand that it's so important that I've got nieces peeking around from the corner. They're putting on the pressure on me. That it's important. It's so important to represent as part of everything that women can offer, and it's always been important to me to be respected as just a player. that's been my first and foremost goal, that we can really move forward. Ultimately, down the line, we can always move forward when we no longer, that's the ideal world, and we no longer have to differentiate, and we live in a world where we don't have to, it shouldn't be this like earth shattering when this happens, because it's commonplace. That is the long game goal that I know we all want to strive towards, and that's the beautiful world that we can all strive towards. And I have to catch myself from stop thinking about that world and remember that that it's one step at a time, and that it's that much more important to really hit home these moments when they happen, and really, really put everything into it and try to represent and emphasize, to really tip the scales in another direction when you have these opportunities. And that's been all on my mind, what I've been trying to put forward, the energy that I've been trying to put forward through all of this, through my journey. And I'm even happier that it's, win or lose, I would be very proud of what I've been doing and how I've been trying to be a part of what so many amazing female competitors have already proven, like their quality in here. I wanted to be a part of that, whether I win or lose. But it is next level, and really just cuts through some things, like with the katana that I have now been able to get those victories, to really just kind of cement those things is amazing.
Wow, yeah, well, fantastic. And I actually get to go to Spectacular, so I'm excited to see you, and hopefully be you and Bibbs, because you two are my two favorite. Watch out. Hey, no, you watch out. You watch out in about, half an hour. I'm going to get you.
Damn, yeah, I'll see you later.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Question. He's going to come for me at Spectacular and be like, that question was pointed, wasn't it? Goodness. We also have our second and I believe final patron, Alan Smithy, the director, here with us as well. Just to make sure, just to be clear that it's not pointed, I have to now be like, Alan. Just to make it clear, I'm unbiased. But
One
Alan.
question. Yes. Okay. Well, anyway, great to meet you, Marisol. And what's up, Boggs, Soul, and John?
Hey.
How's everyone doing?
Hello.
I'm glad to see you, Marisol. It was amazing watching you play at those Cantina matches, and that's something I hope they continue to do. And congratulations on your victories.
Thank you.
For the sake of time, I guess my question will just be simple. What is your favorite round in a Schmoedown match? And you can go speed round. You can go for those 5-rounders too if you want. Those scare me.
My favorite that I've played or that I've seen,
Well,
or just
what
generally
round
speaking
is it?
about.
Generally speaking.
Generally speaking, I think that my least favorite is the betting round. That's just, I know it's exciting, but that is way too much pressure on one goddamn question. That stresses me out as a competitor. And like you see in the case of Ethan, like it could be so, Ethan is so extremely knowledgeable, and the timing is just horrid in that championship match for him. That's one of 2 questions he misses in the whole game. Yeah. And it's one that costs him 3 points. So, and that's me saying that, so I can only imagine how he feels. But yeah, betting round, least favorite. Favorite has to be, favorite is round 2. My favorite round in the entire game, championship or otherwise, is round 2. It's where you're actually really, the fact that you can really put what you've been working on as a competitor, it's the least, I think, random of all the other ones, where it's just up to chance, whatever you get asked. You can put your hard work to the task in round 2. If you're one of those competitors who does that, you have your opportunity to show everything that you've got, and you have wiggle room if you need to think it out, with multiple choice. And then on the flip side, as a competitor, you still have the same way you do in the buzzer round. You have the opportunity to take things from a competitor. It really has a best of all the worlds. It captures the best of every kind of angle that 2 competitors can compete against each other in one round. And I just love round 2 for that. I love it.
And we all love the wheel. Yeah, the wheel
who doesn't love the
great.
wheel?
It's colorful and pretty, and while it's spinning, it's awesome. So, plus, I just want to say I'm wearing my KOrruption Finstock Exchange friendship shirt. See how they're like,
Oh.
hey, we're
Well,
friends.
I don't understand friendship. I don't understand. What's
Look,
happening.
oh, I'm sorry. I'll cover the verses part.
versus that's going to be the energy, and then when we play
Right.
King Arthur coming up.
It was great
There
to
you
meet
go.
you, Marisol, and I'm glad to hear, Bibbs, that you hate She-Devil too. It's a terrible movie. Anyway,
Oh,
thank
that's
you very much.
oh no, oh no.
Uh-oh.
I saw Bibby
Incur his
say that
wrath
he
with
loved
that.
it.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to cut me off right now, guys.
If only I had the power, Al. God bless you, Alan and Rika. You're both wonderful. Thank you for keeping it brief. Marisol, thank you so much for spending some of your Saturday evening with us. We really appreciate it. Is there anything you would like to plug before we bid you adieu?
No. I'm just
Oh,
keeping
all right.
Don't need to. You're the champ. Yeah, you don't need to.
I mean, look, I'm excited. Just keep everybody keep doing your thing, supporting Schmoedown. We want to keep it alive and well, and it's been so up in the air as to what's driving it forward. You know, going into this season and next season. I know a lot of things. There's a lot of big question marks, I feel like, about it. That this pandemic era is kind of thrown into disarray. But we all love this. We're all so true to it. Just keep supporting it. Stay on that Patreon. Don't punish the Patreon. Yeah, keep supporting it. I'm still a Patreon member through and through. I support every month, and let's keep it alive so we can all keep enjoying this together. Watch the matches, and everybody buy tickets to Spectacular if you still can. But yeah,
That's right.
and watch
Thank
the
you.
Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow. Watch the show.
Well, thank you
You're
so
not in
much,
too nice.
Marisol.
You guys are too nice.
The reigning defending, we really appreciate you spending time with us this Saturday, and we hope you have a lovely rest of your Saturday with your family.
Thank you. I hope you guys have a great time too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
Of
champ.
course.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. My goodness. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm stoked, gang. This was great. And guess
You
what?
got your Philly, Phil?
That's right. Well, I'm gonna have to put the sweatshirt back on because my roommate, God bless him, did turn the AC on. But that marks a great transition into the next match we're gonna be talking about, which is the Star Wars match. Star Wars, something I historically know very little about. So I'm gonna toss it on over to Boggs to begin the process of breaking down this Star Wars Damon v. Damon match while I put my sweatshirt back on.
Sure. Wardrobe change. But yeah, obviously Damon v. Damon, as he's saying. So yeah, just going in, obviously Alex has not played in a while since losing the title. And yeah, it was a anticipated match. Obviously, people wanted to see this match for a long time. You know, people wanted to see obviously Mollie against Nikki as well. So kind of a lot of interesting things going on. And I kind of wanted to see where Alex was at. Because obviously, you know, he did come off that title loss, and just where is he now? And he hasn't played in a while. So yeah, obviously excited to go in, but end of the first round did finish 9-8 to Alex. So, you know, he did miss the Attack the Clones question, and she missed the 2 questions there. But overall, tight enough round. I thought I did like the kind of intro and the promo stuff at the start, and them two going back and forth. Yeah, so I like the kind of obviously on-screen chemistry, I guess they got. So that was kind of cute. But yeah, ended the first round finishing 9-8. So any thoughts on the match so far going in? Any anticipations or thoughts on the first round?
Well, I want to go before the match started, and they're like, "Hey, Alex, this is not a 5-round match." And he's like, "What? I think I'll do best in the speed round." And then when he was like, "Good one, Maverick," to his wife, like, because like, "Oh, me and Mollie have been training the speed round for this match." So it was very weird to see Alex Damon doing a 3-round match instead of a 5-round match, because we're so used to him doing 5 rounds. But yeah, it was a lot of right answers in Star Wars. So by both of them, and anyone who is saying, "Oh, Mollie's not up to snuff," like, shut up now, because both of them great.
Yeah, and then going into the second round, Alex lands on Heroes and Villains. he does go perfect in that round. Did go multiple choice the once. That he finished 18-8 at his point, and then obviously Mollie goes first. Whit's the manager still at the moment. We're taking over Kaiser. Who knows? She lands on Rogue 1. Interesting round. She did do. She got the first 3 questions. Did go multiple choice on the first question. Then it came a kind of interesting challenge on the what was the line question. So he's obviously, they've ruled it incorrect because of how the question was read, but obviously they challenged, didn't get upheld. They got confused with the line. I do understand because that line is said they mistook the line for a different line in the movie, but it can be an easy mistake to make. Anyway, is the long end of it, but she didn't get it upheld. The last question did. They both missed. So obviously lucky for her because it would have been an even bigger gap. But yeah, end of the round finishing. Well, John, what was your overall thoughts on the second round in particular? Any interesting thoughts on the challenge? Adam Witt getting involved. But yeah, didn't get upheld in the end.
Sure. I mean, for me, I'll be honest, gang, when I think of Schmoedown challenges, I think of the Star Wars match between Adam Witt and Mollie Damon. Like, that to me, I think might have been the most challenge-heavy match we've ever seen. So once I saw those two on screen together, I was like, there's probably going to be a challenge. But yeah, I absolutely don't want to hear any Mollie Damon slander here on the timeline. I don't want to hear it when she kept it within 3 throughout the match. Like, she absolutely killed it in that Rogue One. Only missing the one question, one miss. Obviously, sometimes it's enough to cost you a match, but it's not enough to suddenly cost your whole reputation. No, she missed one question, and Alex also didn't steal it. So again, really can't count that as much of a loss. Alex Damon spinning, or getting 9 out of a possible 10 points. That's one of those awkward things with expectations, right? Where it's sort of that's what he's supposed to do, right? He's supposed to go perfect. So there's probably people out there that are like, but he checked out once. He checked out once. Alex Damon is over. It's done. Never going to be champ. There's going to be some chatter about that. Folks are going to be coming for both Damons, which is ridiculous because this match was nothing but a testament to some love for Star Wars. Honestly, my biggest thought in this match was I think right before it aired, I was on Twitter and Mollie shared a photo of her and Alex's wedding. It's very cute. So that was the main thing going through my mind is I just saw that picture and I was like, well, these two can't fight. What's all this?
Well, Alex did get to repeat part of his wedding vows too from round 2 when he answered a question and Mollie goes like this and then he goes, that was my wedding vows. And you're like, this is adorable.
There's a Star Wars musical on YouTube that turned that whole Anakin speech into a very cute love song. So I hope Alex Damon finds that and has to cover it whenever they renew their vows.
Yeah, and Alex did slap himself in that when he missed the round 2 steal. I thought, yeah, he's got to sharpen up, obviously, moving into the later stages of the tournament. But round 3, obviously, Mollie, she hit a 2 and a 3. Alex also hit his 2 and a 3, but unfortunately, she did miss a 5. Excellent question. I felt how many scenes Ray and Kylo communicated through the what's it called? The Force Skype. That's Force. Yeah, Force Skype, Force Bond. Yeah, excellent question. But yeah, she unfortunately missed. She gets 4. It was 5, and Alex wins by and he goes obviously through to play Nikki DiMolante next. So it's kind of glad to see Alex back because he's been out of the picture a little bit since he's missed his title match. Stars are desperate for points. Nice for Roxy to get a win. Her showing a bit of passion. I like Roxy as a manager, to be honest, and we don't get to see her enough. Whether it's that she's, I don't know, just too busy or because they haven't won enough the stars this year, but I do like to see her kind of I don't know, character work, heel work, shots that she takes and stuff. So she always got her players back. So I do like her kind of characteristics. So it's just a shame that we don't see her more. But yeah, Mollie, John, I need to make this point. I keep making the same point about these first round Star Wars tournaments. About someone with a losing record playing against someone with with a winning record. I mean, this is going to happen a lot for me. the people with the losing records should play against each other first before going in against, you know, a killer like White. Like Mollie should play Eric Whiteley, or she should play, you know, Sean Sullivan again, or, you know, someone along them lines before going in against, you know, a title contender like Alex, in my opinion, so they can get a bit of confidence, bit of form going in. Hopefully next year they do balance out a little bit, because if you've seen in the first round, the person with the losing record has lost to the person with the winning record in every match, right? It's going to happen. It's Star Wars. It's, you know what, it's, you know, it's predictable at this point. So I think they need to balance it up a little bit. But go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean that's the difficult thing about seeding, right? Like, even I'm not a huge sports head, but I've filled out 1 or 2 March Madness brackets in my day, and you know, always you're gonna see it's like, oh yeah, then there's this match, which is like the number 1 ranked team versus the number like 16 or 18 ranked
16.
team. It's one of the tough things where it's like I definitely think that, like, you know, a play-in match or 2 is always a lovely thing to see. And obviously, we're going to see how things wind up looking next year with the factions a little bit diminished. So that means more players, regardless of if they're signed to a faction or not, are going to get some time to shine as well. So hopefully that's something that we also get to see a little bit more kind of action of folks with losing records get an opportunity to play and get their first W, because there are, quite frankly, too many great players that have only losses on their record. But that's a question for next year. What we got to talk about right now is a teams match in this teams tournament with the press room of the Quirky Mercs, the aforementioned Josh Horowitz and scary Perri Nemiroff, going up against the old guard with Alonso Duralde growing into his new nickname, Mr. Christmas, and Mark Yodi Reilly representing the Den. Am I right that I'm going to be the one covering this match? Then cover it, I shall. Here we go. Starting off with round 1, there were a few different misses across the board. Nobody had a complete perfect. Oh, no, I'm wrong. See, and this is why I had to ask, because I was like, I get things wrong all the time. Almost nobody got a perfect round except for Josh Horowitz. Hey, this is why he's still in contention for Rookie of the Year, if you ask me, because he got a perfect round plus the bonus question, which meant that the press room was up by 4 coming out of this round 1. Both teams got 10 out of a possible 12 points in their respective round 2s. Press room spinning and sticking with Francis McDormand, whereas the old guard spun and stuck with the 1980s. Neither the old guard nor the press room was able to hit the Lost Boys town name question. I didn't even write it. It's Santa Carla, right? Was it Santa Carla or Santa Clara? Yeah. That was the
Carla is the answer, but he Reilly said Clara.
Yeah. It's a fun movie, regardless. But that meant that the point differential was still the same coming out of round 2. And then it just came down to the folks that were able to hit their 2s and their 3s. Old guard, they did get the 2 and the 5-pointer. Unfortunately, Alonso missed that 2013 DiCaprio question only by 1 year, though. So it's especially tough. Whereas Perri was able to hit her Mad Max question, and Josh was able to hit his Kiefer Sutherland question. Hey, getting a little bit of redemption for that Lost Boys miss. Soul, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, the old guard is, I think, viewed by many, including, if I'm a little bit honest myself, as kind of the B team for the Den. Obviously, the outsiders were kind of teased as like the big thing for the Den coming into this season. But, I mean, the old guard, they made a good account of themselves. Do you feel like if you were Kate, do you think that, you know, obviously hindsight is 20/20, but how do you feel about this choice of putting the old guard into this tournament as opposed to the outsiders?
Well, when you look at this year, you would think old guard's B team, but I think Kate probably was looking at, I got a former champ, I got someone who has made it through tournaments with, what was it, the Paddington 2s was their name? That made it through, challenged their own win. But so 2 guys, very knowledgeable, and she's giving them their shot. And so I kind of like the decision of putting them in this tournament. They weren't too far off. It was, who knows if he would have answered his 3, if they would have answered their 5 or not. That's something that we don't know. He was 1 year off. It would have been nice to see, like, it to go to the 5, because I always love watching matches go all the way to the 5, because that's when you really see what teams are made of. So I think it was actually a good decision to put them in, even though they did lose.
Yeah, and I believe it was in the promo itself where Ben Goddard mentions, like, yeah, you know, don't forget Alonso was part of a squad with Whitney Seibold last year that beat Tom and Paul. That was sort of like the A-team of the Den last year. So, hey, nothing is ever set in stone. Boggs, I'll toss it on over to you. Obviously, Reilly and Duralde having 2 tough seasons. Again, still being good players, but kind of your thoughts overall on them. And then the press room as well, and what you think their odds are of progressing further and further in this team's tournament.
Yeah, Alan Smithy in the chat. I live in Santa Clarita. There are no vampires here. Thank you so much for clearing that up.
The point is, it's not a real sit. We'll get into it.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, for me, although they obviously lost, Reilly and Duralde, they did have opportunities to win the match throughout the match. So, with Reilly was super close with that 2-pointer that he missed. They did miss a 3-pointer, so the points were there. It just kind of didn't go their way a little bit. So I did feel like they were unlucky. I do kind of think that it was the best decision to put them in, because Reilly had the best singles win, I feel, for anyone in the Den this year. Obviously, Ben didn't win his singles, and Paul Preston beat James White, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, I think Reilly had the best win when he beat Liz Shannon Miller. So I would have put him in. So I think that was a good call based on the players that they've got. But for me, it was about the press room. Them two just click. The being the reporters, kind of new releases. They got the same kind of strengths, I feel. And Josh is just an all-around good player. Perri steps up as she does, and yeah, I just felt like I just like their vibe. I just, when I watch them, I can see Bibbs all over them. Like, you can see that he's training with them or just giving them advice and things like that. So yeah, I think Jeremy Miller had mentioned the dark horse in tournament. I do too. I think they're sneaky good. We'll see. They've got a tough one next round. Obviously, we haven't had that match between the Dungeon and the Untouchables. But I did, like I said, I do feel like the old guard were unlucky. First match, they gave a decent account of themselves. But yeah, a few points on the table that on another day they could have got. But yeah, so they just missed the year by 1, and Reilly just mispronounced the name of the town. Like, he's this close. So I felt a bit sorry for him. But best team won.
And I mean, yeah, God bless Kate. I think this was also a topic of discussion last year. Kate loves to be able to make sure that all of her players, as much as possible, get their moment to play. So it was nice to be able to see like Reilly and Duralde get another chance to shine this season in the team's division, even though ultimately it didn't go their way. We'll see what fate holds for them next season. As for the press room, yeah, like Horowitz, he is still in contention in my mind for Rookie of the Year. Even if he's not the strongest contender, he's still making a great account of himself. And Perri, I'm so glad we've been able to see more and more of her. She took out Mike Kalinowski last year in the singles tournament, and she took Ben Bateman to sudden death this year in the singles tournament. Like, you cannot count Perri out, especially in a tournament setting. So I'm very interested to see what comes from their next team's match. But yeah, we still have one other singles match to be talking about, also part of a tournament. This one going up between Dan Murrell of the Dungeon and Lon Harris of S.W.A.G, which of course, swag, drip, drip. But Boggs, I believe it is you that is covered. No. I have to double check. I goofed up. Here's a peek behind the curtain. I goofed up my notes. I put wrong people on the wrong matches. So now I'm like double checking as we go. Like, am I doing my job correctly now? I don't know.
You're doing a great job,
I'll do whatever
John.
you want me to do. So yes.
How about you talking about this match then?
Okay, so this match, I found that hilarious. Lon didn't have a shirt on. Like, I put the match, it's watching the promo, you just don't expect something like
that. That's what you hate to hear when you're shirtless. It's like, oh, wow, you're not wearing a shirt, baby. That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nice surprise, I guess. Yeah, so I can't get it out of my head now. But anyway, going into the round, fantastic round from Lon. Perfect round. Obviously did miss his, bonus, but yeah, obviously getting the 8 questions. Dan just missed the one. I think we missed it. We mentioned it with Marisol. I think you were you dropped off for a second, John. But the question with a Star Wars actor, Planet of the Apes actor, and a Hunger Games actor, obviously Woody Harrelson, they both use a repeat on. I love them kind of questions. They should do more of them, I feel, because it's a big actor. It's around one question. It's not going to be the hardest thing to pull, but it just really makes you think. I do like them questions. So obviously, like I said, Lon got that, and Dan didn't. But I knew from the off as well. Noticed from the off that Dan was locked in. Like he was not smiling too much, not messing around. He's here to win, to get points or go through the tournament. Clearly wants a title shot. I'll speak on more of that later. But going into round 2, obviously Dan lands on classics. He's won it twice. Second time he did get classics. He did reasonably well. Multiple choice the first question, landed on, got his 2 in his third question, missed the Henry VIII question. Obviously Lon stole that as a multiple choice, so that round ended 12-9. I was kind of a bit worried for Dan at this point. I'm thinking Lon's playing stellar at this point. Then Lon lands on Batman. First 3 questions went fine, went multiple choice the first, and then obviously did get his 2 in his 3, and then the last question I just saw that it seemed like he switched off. Like he just seemed like he was, I don't know, he just wasn't 100% focused. Like he didn't ask for multiple. He just he seemed like he was unsure. He gambled, didn't pay off. Dan stole it, and they leveled the match up at that point, 14-all. And then going into round 3, obviously Lon hits his 2 in his 3, missed the Free Willy question. I did know that. The only reason I know that because Michael Jackson sang the theme song for Free Willy 2, which was released in 95. So that's the only I knew that. 95 Free Willy, Michael Jackson. So that's how I knew it. So just my little flex there. And then Dan also missed his 5, interestingly enough. So he hit his 2 in his 3, and missed the Robert Duvall question. So match ending 19-all, going into Sun and Death. And then it went a few questions deep, 3 questions deep, and Dan hit the Brad Pitt question, the voice actor in Sinbad. Lon unfortunately missed, and win for Dan. So I felt sorry for Lon. I've got to be honest. Like he played fantastic for 2.9 rounds, and then just had that bad Batman miss. But what I'll say is he gets a lot of criticism, I feel Lon does, about what kind of Lon is going to turn up. For me, he's had quite a good season. With Final Exam, they've beat Rushmore. That's an excellent win. He's beat Drew McQueenie, he's beat King Khan, and people still question him as if he's not a good player. Yeah, obviously is he ever going to win a title? No. But is he a good player for me? Yes. I think that question for me is we're past that stage with Lon. So I'm glad he can kind of rest now for the season, because I feel every match is it depends on Lon. And so, yeah, he can he's done his thing now, so he can have a rest. But I'll go to Soul first. Overall thoughts on the match. Obviously perfect round. Missed his bonus, to be fair, but going to Sun and Death. Overall, it was a good match, and I loved Dan's passion throughout the match. In round 2 as well, when he was getting kind of annoyed at the Batman Forever questions, out of character a little bit. I love that stuff. I love people getting annoyed at the questions like that Jeff used to do, or Roka. Adds an extra drama to the match, right?
It definitely showcases that Dan Murrell is teammates with Ben Bateman.
Yes.
And so please, any overall thoughts on the match?
So I'm going to have to echo with you on Lon. I kind of hate the discourse when it's like, what Lon are we going to get in this game? Because to me, he's always been a good player. And I think, too, that's one of the reasons Winston picked him, because Winston said the first Schmoedown match he ever saw was Lon playing. And he's just like, this guy is the guy I want on my team when factions became a thing, because he sees the potential in Lon. And he is that good. You don't get a perfect round if you're not good at the Schmoedown. So he has that knowledge. He made a stupid mistake in round 2, especially when you see that your competitor knows the answer. You drop down to multiple. If he would have gotten it, or even if there was a steal there, if everything else went to play, Lon wins this match. So to me, it was that one thing that he did, his last question in round 2, that sealed it for him for the match. And so I felt bad for Lon, because I was just like, oh my God, he's actually like, he's doing it. Come on, Lon, do it.
I was like that as well. That's a great. I never even thought of that. If he would have went multiple choice and missed, and Dan would have got the 1 point, he would have won the match, right? So yeah,
Yes.
a lot of interesting things. So I think Jerry Murrell in the chat there. I think people are upset with Lon isn't trying to be a better player and making mental mistakes. I understand that. I think that's fair, but for people to question how good he is as a player, I don't think that's too fair. But John, any overall thoughts on the match, please? Obviously, a lot happened. Dan's intensity, Lon played excellent, but that slip up in round 2.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it already, Bugs. Like, Dan Murrell was dialed in, taking this match 100% serious, and Lon Harris still took him to sudden death, even with a goof where it's like, again, like you kind of hear Lon explain it in match where he's like, yeah, multiple choice wouldn't have helped me. But then obviously then there's the question of, well, would have helped your opponent get less points. But that's, kind of neither here nor there at this point. It's a tough season for Lon where, again, yeah, like you do kind of see him be like constantly kind of on the cusp, but not necessarily being the dedicated try-hard, some might say, that folks like a Dan Murrell is, where it's like he's not as dialed in, which is a fair thing to be. Like, it's fair to not have this be the central point in your life, but it does mean that, you are probably right, Bugs. Like, as we get further and further into the Schmoedown as a thing, and we get more people like the rookie class that we've gotten this year, it does make the odds of Lon getting a title seem like fewer and fewer, which then raises the question of what's going to happen to him next year. Like, I don't know if he's going to wind up on a faction or if he's going to kind of be one of the loose cannons, the guns for hire, just traversing the Schmoedown world at large. Honestly, this dialed in of a Dan Murrell just makes me very curious what we're going to see for his teams match. But yeah, this was a solid singles match.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end saying he's going to KO Mike. Yeah, I do like, I think the game is better when Dan's more passionate. Like when he's kind of, whether he's got like a bee in his bonnet or he's slightly annoyed, because you feel like he's just like, because he's the best player in the game. When everything hits, as he's proved so many times. So yeah, it's just like, I think I enjoy the Schmoedown more when Dan's on it. But go ahead.
You better hope Roka's not listening to this.
Yeah,
yeah, right. I just actually quickly had to interject because we almost glossed over this, but one of the things that they talk about in the match was that this was Dan's 20th total win in the singles division, which is huge. And again, just like goes to show, like, when you hear that, it's sort of like, oh yeah, well, of course the other person lost. Like, of course that when somebody's able to rack up 20 different wins, like, yeah, that kind of makes a little bit more sense. Like, Dan is a certified legend. He's an absolute monster at this Schmoedown game. So, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next for Dan, because he's moving forward in both tournaments. Well, he's moving forward in singles, and we'll see about the teams tournament. But yeah, like, Lon is, I'm sure, going to be back next year. It'll just be a question of how. And, that remains to be, that's a few months away. Soul, I think it's possible we might have a stream lab. Is that the case?
I got a message that we got a stream lab, but I don't have it in the private chat.
Sorry, I had thought it was pulled up. That's, again, a little bit of a classic John Barr goof whoopsies. A goof oops, we call them. So for now, I'll just say, hey, gang, you could be like the perhaps mystery other Streamlabs sender and send us a Streamlabs or send us a super chat. We always appreciate it, of course, along with the likes, along with the comments, and along with the Patreon subscriptions. Always a delightful thing. But I think for the moment, unless anybody has any final thoughts they need to get out about any of the matches we've been talking about, I think it's time to bring in our two producers, Sean and Mike, and then go over, first off, what our standings are when it comes to us trying to call these matches, and then get into some calls. So I will toss it right on back up to you.
All right. So we have in last place, we have Mike with 32 points. Then we have John with 77, myself with 82, Sean with 86, and Boggs with 92.
Boggs is, I don't know if he can be stopped, quite frankly. I don't know if and how.
I'm just now trying to beat Sean. I'm like, I know I won't be able to beat Bobs, but let me beat Sean. Let me beat second place.
What is this obsession with trying to
not
beat me?
against you. It's I want to be the best, but I can't be the best, so I have to change my goals.
There you go. That's fair.
hurtful.
Well,
It's hurtful.
good news. We have
I'm trying
5
to crack
different.
50.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm still there, Mike. I don't know. I feel like I'm still trying to crack 50 some days. But speaking of 50, we have 5.0 matches to talk about. It equals 5. We have 5 great matches to talk about, 2 of which are going to be part of a pay-per-view event. Starting first off, though, with a Star Wars tournament match, Laura Kelly of S.W.A.G going up against Gold Leader of the Finstock Exchange. I'm going to start with my pick, and I'm just going to lay it out there. I have Gold Leader winning. It sounds sacrilegious, I know. And I would not be surprised if every single person on this panel is against me on this pick. But for me, I kind of have to look at the fact that I feel like Laura Kelly has not gone up against many of the new school players in this new Star Wars division. And for me, that is sort of the like, oh, I don't know factor. You know what I mean? Where I feel like there is always that weird kind of clash when you see some of the older school players go up against some of the newer school players. It's something that we've seen in Inner Geekdom. It's something that we've seen in singles. Like, I feel like it might just be that, like, brand new it factor of the new drive that New Blood brings into the Schmoedown. And obviously, a couple of commenters have my back. I appreciate it because I think I'm going to be about the only one. But, yeah, I think it's certainly going to be hard fought. Like, I bet that this is going to go into sudden death. But I'm going to edge it, I think, to Gold Leader. Mike, I know you disagree with me, so you can go ahead and speak.
He's going to throw hands. He's ready. He's ready.
I warned you, John. I will throw hands for Laura Kelly. And I think I told you, stop getting high coming on the show, because that's got to be the only reason.
How dare you? I wait till the tail end. I mean, no, I don't.
No, Laura Kelly. Man, no disrespect to Gold Leader, but Laura Kelly, yeah.
Fair enough. Sean, what do you have to say for yourself? Huh?
I think Mike's right. I think, you need to check. I think we need to check your temperature or something, because I think you're sick. It's Laura
I
Kelly.
have to check my temperature every day for work.
Yeah, well, check it again today, because it's Laura Kelly.
97.8, baby. Run a little cold. Boggs, who do you have winning this match?
Yeah, it's really close, especially just 3 rounds. Like, there's no room for mistake, or basically, right? It's like whoever will miss the one question or even go multiple choice, you might lose. So it's that tight. But I'm gonna go with Laura Kelly.
There we go. And so, are you also gonna turn against me? Is this gonna be in a 2 brutes?
I got 2 things to say. 1, I run at 97.7, so I also run cold. And 2, swag, drip, drip.
There you go.
There we go. That's fair. I knew I'd be a man on a hill, on an island for this match. And,
hey, you might be the only one who's right, and then we'll all look like fools.
It's entirely possible. Historically, evidence does not back that up. I'm probably the wrong one, but hey, who knows? We could see. We shall. I had 2 good weeks in me that one time. As we move on to our next match,
weeks? You went 3 weeks perfect.
Hey, there we go. 4.
I was perfect last week, but no one mentioned anything. But it's fine.
All right, Sean. All
Sorry.
right.
Just saying.
How about we talk about the next match instead, which is Danger Zone of the Dungeon. That'd be Dan Murrell and Ben Bateman going up against the Untouchables, which is Drew McWeeny and Paige Frabetti. Now, Mike, I know Paige is another person that you've pledged your hands to, should she ever need them at her side. So let me ask you, are you ready to throw hands once again? You said it. Don't look at me like I said it.
Fox, he did say that.
I did say
He did say that.
I mean, this is hard because it's Murrell and Bateman on a team together, man. That's just 200 pounds of straight brain muscle right there.
Are you saying they're only 100 pounds each?
Sure. I don't do math. I can't. I'm gonna have to give it to Danger Zone on this one, against my better judgment. Like, this one hurts. But yeah.
What a
I'm disappointed.
fundamental
I love that
betrayal
you're
by
saying
Mike.
Oh.
Sean, who do you have?
So here's the thing. So when Paige went against Ben, I picked Ben, but then I said I want Paige to win so badly, so I hope I'm wrong. And it turned out I was wrong. So to keep that mojo going, I'm going to pick Danger Zone, but I swear to God, I hope I'm wrong, and the Untouchables win. But Paige, this is me believing in you by saying I'm going to pick against you because last time I was wrong, and I hope this time I'm wrong. So I'm picking Danger Zone, hoping I'm wrong.
That's the baseball fan in Sean. He has to do the same thing to get the same outcomes.
It's just like in baseball, we call that a slam dunk. Bugs, who do you have winning this match?
Yeah. So thinking about it, I think Sean went perfect last week, but there's only 3 matches, so who cares?
No, I was counting the pay-per-view as well, so I went like
the week before. Sure, do what you want then. The thing is, I kind of agree with Sean, but I'm not gonna pick Danger. I'm gonna pick the Untouchable. Paige was super excited when she was on the show, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, about this match. She was like, "Trust me, guys. I'm gonna trust you, Paige. Obviously, going against 2 killers, but you're on great form. Hopefully, drag McQueenie with you. I think major upset if they do win, in my opinion. But I'm gonna go for upset. Yeah, I'm gonna go Untouchables.
There we go. Fair enough. Soul, who do you have winning this match?
I love an underdog. I love Paige, and I don't like Ben, so I'm going the Untouchables.
There you
Sorry,
go.
Listen, nobody. Our show loves the Untouchables, regardless of whether we pick them, regardless of whether they win. We love this team, regardless. I am gonna have to say though, I'm gonna have to make it 3-2 in favor of Danger Zone. I think what we've seen is that Paige can beat Ben, but I feel like Dan can beat Drew, and I feel like looking at how dialed in Dan is, and looking at the fact that Dan and Ben were able to take it to the finals of the last tournament for teams, and I feel like we just haven't seen. We haven't seen Untouchables work together yet as a team. I think this is going to be a sudden death type of match. I'm very excited to see how it goes, and I won't be mad for a minute if Untouchables win. But Danger Zone is going to have to be the pick for me, especially because I feel like these 2 guys have gotten huge chips placed on their shoulder, because I feel like a lot of the discourse this year has been, oh, Dan and Ben aren't living up to my personal expectations, which I feel like a little bit ridiculous, but I feel like that's been picking up, especially as of late. So I feel like this is the match we're really going to see that shine through. But we have our first of 2 singles matches to talk about. This one in a tournament setting. It's David Del Rio going up against James White, Dungeon versus Corruption. Sean, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think is going to win?
It's a tough one. I think Del Rio has been playing well. I think he's an underrated player that we don't see as much, and no fault to his own because I think he's a great player. So I'm going to go with Del Rio.
There we go. Boggs, who do you have winning this match?
So, yeah, I've been watching the 2 of them over the kind of 2 years or however long they've been playing. I've been more impressed with Del Rio, but I just think because James White's kind of in Corruption, they're playing hard at the minute. Studying with them, and I don't know. I'm going to say James White. I do think Del Rio is the better player, but I think James White's going to win. Maybe wants it a little bit more, that kind of thing. So I'll go James White.
Interesting. Soul, who do you have winning this match?
This one's a coin toss. So in the coin toss, I'm going to go with the Latino and go David Del Rio.
Fair enough. As good and legitimate of a reason as any. I am also picking David Del Rio. I feel like he's been in the game for a little bit longer, and it's just been racking up like loss after loss, because he is somebody that has been historically placed up against some really strong competitors. But I feel like the fact that he got his round 1 win over Liz Shannon Miller, who has also been having a really strong year this year, especially when you're looking at what she and Ethan have been doing in teams. Like, this to me feels like the revenge of Del Rio Tour. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't know if he's got it in him to like win the whole tournament, but like, I certainly think he's got 2 wins in him. And James White, I feel like he's one of those players where it's just like he kind of gets lost in the corruption shuffle a little bit, which to be fair, a lot of players do. Like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm blaming corruption specifically. With 10 players on every faction, a lot of players get lost in the shuffle. I mean, you know, we could talk about the dungeon and poor Whitney Seibold, but I do think that with just the amount of times that James and David have gotten to play versus the kind of competitors they've each respectively played, I got to give it to David Del Rio. Mike, round us out. Who you got?
I got to go with James White on this one. That's a hard pick. David Del Rio's swinging hard, but I like the energy James White's putting out. I'm going to throw him on this one.
Fair enough. As we get to our fourth match, but our second singles match to talk about. This one being part of the pay-per-view, not part of the tournament, but 2 exciting rookies, Rick Radis of the Finstock Exchange going up against Frankie Alvarez of the Usual Suspects. Boggs, for this one, I'm starting with you. Who do you have winning?
Super tough because they're both like, they're almost like similar players, like the same kind of player. So same ability, good matchup, 50-50. I actually don't know. Bit of a coin toss. I'm going to go with Rick the Rage Radis. Triple R.
Okay. That's 1 vote for 3 R's. Soul, who do you have winning?
I'm going Triple R.
Okay, that's 2 votes for Triple R. I'm gonna go with Frank Alvarez though. I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball in here. I feel like he's been more of the surprise to me within his 2 matches. I've really liked his 2 performances, taking out Brother Lomas, and then also having a great and solid match against Just Schloth. I feel like Frank, he's a little bit more of the surprise factor to me, and I'm gonna have to give this one to him. Sean, who do you have?
Well, I mean, you know, how am I going to go against my fellow Yankee fan, Frankie? How could I do that? I'm just saying, I can't. I won't. So I shan't. So I've got to go with Frankie.
Like I said previous, that's as good and legitimate of a reason as any to pick somebody when ultimately it's going to be up to them anyway. Mike, who do you have winning?
Radis sounds like both a badass wrestling name and a cool comic book secret identity. And for those reasons, I'm going with Rick Radis.
There we go. Fair enough. And hey, gentlemen, if you're at Spectacular, let's all get a beer. If there's any final beef that needs to get squashed, because I want to hang out with both of you. I'll be real. But then we have our final match to talk about. Mike Kalinowski defending his belt against Amaru Moses, another one of these top contenders for Rookie of the Year in my book. Amaru has been making a name for himself, but now he's going up against potentially the inner geekdom goat in Mike Kalinowski. This one's going to be tough. Soul, I got to ask, who do you have winning?
I'm going with Mike Kalinowski.
There we go. Fair enough, short and sweet. I'm also going to put Kalinowski. I feel like Kalinowski is someone that has had to face down some of the new class of inner geekdom. When you look at how he was in the tournament last year and made it all the way to the finals, I feel like Chandru is kind of my big thought when I think about new class of inner geekdom players. Him and Kevin Smets, I would say, were kind of like the 2 like newcomers onto the scene. And Mike has proven he could hang. His match versus Chandru that happened earlier this year, one of my picks for best matches of the year. And I feel like Amaru, he's good. And like he's got it in him to pull up the upset. But I feel like I haven't seen that dominance. You know what I mean? Like that's the awkward. And again, that's like, it feels tough because that's not really on him. Because obviously if you look at his previous matches, like his match versus Moose Haas, there were the unfortunate technical difficulties. His match versus Saul was not in the right headspace for that one. It wound up being a TKO. So like, it's tough. Like, but you know, again, I don't know any of these people personally, aside from the few times that they're able to hop onto our show. Not, of course, including the Warfather, who's my deep personal friend. So, yeah, I just got to go based off of tape, and right now the tape is saying Mike. Sean, who do you have winning?
Mike.
Okay, and nice and short and sweet. Fair enough. I rambled for a minute, so that's fair. Sean's looking at the runtime. Mike, who do you have winning?
I really, really, really want Mike Kalinowski to be a guest on this show, but I'm gonna go with Amaru, only because we've seen it happen before with the likes of Paulo Yama, where the new young guy comes in and snatches that thing. And I'm counting on his inexperience in the big leagues here to be almost disarming to Mike Kalinowski.
Wow. All right. Fair enough.
So, yeah.
There we go. And then Boggs, round us out. What do you have?
Yeah, same kind of things. Whenever I talk about Mike, you have to mention 5-time champion. One of the best of all time. All the accolades. Want him to be on the show, definitely.
That's the most important point.
Yeah.
Seems that way.
I think you do have to be a bit of a fool to pick Amaru. But call me a fool. I'm going to do it. I don't know how. I don't know why.
That was Emmanuel in the chat. Come on.
Yeah, I've seen both the Moses brothers in the chat. I'm going to back you.
Amaru was in the chat earlier too.
I don't know how. Don't know why. How you're going to do it. Don't know what's going to go down. I think you guys got to play like outstanding, and Mike's going to have a bad game, or whatever happened. I don't care. I'm just somehow, some way. I might be 0-5 this week, but I'm saying Amaru for the win. I don't know how he's going to do it, but shock the world, man. Go and shock the world, and I hope you do it, man. Hope you do it.
Sellouts in the chat, huh? It wasn't enough that we had to. It wasn't enough that people were already like, "Oh, you're on Roka's channel. You're Roka shows." Now we also have this hanging over us. We're talking about our guests and what we want.
Hey, Emmanuel is saying that you're his boy now, Boggs.
Well, easy as that. Yeah, I hope you do. Oh, Mike as well. No, really, that's the thing. I want Amaru to win, and I want Mike to beat Amaru, in the big leagues. So
wait, what?
That's how we all fold. They have a rivalry. They have a rivalry in the family. You guys, me and Mike know. But.
Here's what I know, gang. This has been a great show. And it's been great, thanks largely in part to the wonderful people who have been keeping this show going with their comments, with their Discord questions, with their call-in questions. We respect all of you, and thank you all so much for helping contribute to the show, making it great. But gang, also thanks to the 4 of you. You all wonderful people. Let's go around the horn and do some plugs so everybody at home can find the other places that you are. Starting with Sean, what do you got?
You can follow me on Twitter, even though I don't tweet that much, at my name, Sean Barreto. And then also check me out on Pop Culture Universe, where we do trailer reaction, movie reviews, etc.
There you go. Mike, what about you?
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. Mike Shea. Check out my podcast, The Basement Lounge. New episodes every Thursday.
Nice. Boggs, what about you?
Yep, I just want to shout out Marisol. Thank you so much for coming on. She couldn't be here for too long, so she went over that time. So thanks so much for that. Shout out to patrons and everyone coming in, sending good questions. Chat's been good. Big show next week. Tune in. Lots of big matches going down. Pop Culture Universe. We'll be breaking down some of the DC stuff that happened today. So reacting and things like that. So check that out.
There we go. And Soul, how about you?
I just want to shout out Aaron Klister in the chat. He's saying everybody is so fucking beautiful, because you're beautiful too, Aaron. We love you. Wow. Pop Culture Universe. You can follow me on Twitter at SoulGovin. You'll probably see me tweeting about the Red Sox right now because I'm following the score. It's the top of the 9th. We're winning 9-3, so go Red Sox.
There we go. Fair enough.
Can't support that.
Well, you can support me at John Barr Tweets on Twitter and Instagram, John_Barr on TikTok, twitch.tv/John Barr, and look up John Barr on YouTube. I'm one of them. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow. Like Boggs said, check out next week's episode. It's going to be a blast. But also don't forget, while you're here, to like this video, like this episode, and then also leave a comment underneath as well. Sean's got a point of order. What is it?
Real quick. So next week we'll be starting an hour earlier at 2 p.m. PT 5 p.m. Eastern. So special start time next week, 2 p.m. PT, 5 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. Oh, and it's going to be, I almost forgot that I'm not going to be here even next week because I got a wedding to go to. So, oof. Gang, it's
How
going to be.
dare you?
You're not going to have me messing up show notes anymore. Huh? Isn't that a treat? That'll be, maybe the show will make sense. Well,
Oh my God.
gang, thank you. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you so much for watching. We will see, well, some of us will see you next week. Keep watching Schmoedown and keep watching this show because we're always excited to talk about it with all of you. Have a good weekend.
So basically, what happened in DC fandom is
Are we going to hear you
Was
shout
it
out
as
all
good
the
as
ladies,
Phantom?
Mog?